Siddharth. We are so delighted to have you here on Bankers Connect. For our audience, Siddharth Srivastav is regional head in PNB Housing Finance, and today we are going to discuss about the mortgage industry as a whole and the COVID pandemic effect and the technology aspect. So, welcome once again, Siddharth.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you for having me.
So, Siddharth, my first question to you is COVID has taken the whole world by storm, right? In one of the analysis that I recently saw, comparing the impact of current pandemic with 2008 global economic crisis on various macroeconomic parameters, delinquency can rise up to 1.75x times in mortgage lending. What do you have to say about that?
Well, if you talk about COVID has definitely taken the world by a storm. Every industry, every sector is really impacted by it. May that be the automobile, the manufacturing, the trading, and almost everyone. And we are just a part of it. And if you talk about mortgages in per se, yes, with there were the analysis obviously says that the delinquency would increase by 1.75 percent is what everyone is talking about. But if you see what government has taken measures on this front is that they have offered moratorium to almost all the customers across India. Anyone who has taken a gold loan, consumer loan, any mortgage loan, any asset based or non-asset based, everyone has been offered moratorium. So yes, government has taken steps to curb down the delinquency and everything. And plus now, if you see, we had a 3 months of lockdown, which has again been extended. Similarly, we had a 3 months of moratorium. Again, it has been extended to another 3 months. And for the first, so now with everyone, with unlock one, which has just recently happened, the industries and the sectors and the shops and everything, every segment has started to open up. With everyone opening up, so you see some cash flowing into the economy back again, and there we expect that the money would be accumulated by the all segment of the people, whether it be a trader, manufacturer, or anyone, or a salaried person also, so that the EMI can be paid. So yes, delinquency would not be such a major concern because of the various parameters which the government have done in a very phased manner.
I heard some of the industry veterans also saying that RBI and government should have relaxed the NPA norms and or provisioning norms for NBFCs and banks, considering the fact that there could be higher delinquency now. So having more provision, having banks and NBFCs do more provisions or NPAs, writing off the books, or will have further have liquidity crunch, or the power to disburse more loans will go down. So if you don't do that, what is your thought on this?
If you talk about provisioning, what RBI has done is earlier it was 90 days to consider a loan going bad. Now in April they have again revised it to 180 days. And similarly, in the provisioning part up to 1 year, it was 25% is what needs to be provisioned. Similarly, for the next 3 years, it was 40, and anything over 3 years was 100%.
Right.
So these are the current prevailing norms. From 90 to 180, it has already been increased. So I think on the question number one, we also spoke. Yes, the delinquency and the NPA would move to the downward trends because of the things which have been done in a very, very phased way. Like in next 3 months, we expect people gathering money, yes, without paying any EMI because of the moratorium which is come into effect of everyone. So yes, this would with 90 days to 180 days going up, with provisioning of 100% over 3 years. So things seems pretty on the greener side.
Okay. And we have also seen that the moratorium is not only availed by the low score band or high risk customers, but also by low risk customers. So, what do you think about that? Do you think that probability of default or delayed payments uh, would be there by these high score customers as well?
Well, if, since we have touched on the moratorium piece, we would just would like to give a brief on that. First,
Mm.
moratorium is a provision or a facility given by the government.
Right.
And it totally depends upon an individual whether to use it or not use it.
Mm.
Neither any of the industries or the banker or the NBFCs, neither they say you use it or you do not use it. But on a personal view, if you have money,
Mm.
then you should not use it, because again it is interest and everything is accumulating back to your principal, and you end up paying more. So that way, sorry, couldn't I just skipped your question on this?
So I was
Uh,
saying, my question was that even the low risk customers are opting for moratorium,
right.
right? And
So
I believe my understanding is that these customers understand that there will be interest impact on that on them. Maybe their tenor will go high or their EMI will be increased. So, despite knowing that customers are availing the even the
yeah.
low risk customers. So,
So,
yeah.
like I was saying, I just multiple thoughts came to my mind, and the basic question got just slipped off. So from a high scoring credit guy in civil to a low scoring civil guy, everyone is obtaining, because everyone has this tendency ki if something is given, why not we avail it? Yes,
Right.
nobody looks to longer perspective. What is going to happen? Yes, I understand. For a customer like me, an institution would give a call and say, maybe my civil would be over 800,
Hmm.
and I would have been paying everything on the regular intervals with no DPDs and nothing. That's then also, if at the back of my mind, I would say, if the government is giving, let us take let us do a 3 months of liquidity and then see whatever best can be done of this money. If I want to prepay it, I would prepay it. I do not want. I want to use it to some other extent. Then I may use it. So that's the only limited point which we are trying to portray is, yes, a facility given by government, but use it very judicially and cautiously, else these things will come back to you only.
Right. But you see that there's the risk essentially remains the same in these kind of.
Absolutely. Your principal is getting accumulated at the end of the day. Similarly, the loan to value is reducing,
Hmm.
and your loan amount is increasing. So again, the risk is increasing if you do not pay right now.
Hmm.
Yes, if in case you do not have an income source right now, yes, your industry or your factory is shut down
Hmm.
at the current time. Then this is the best thing you should go. But for uh, a regular customer having money, then you shouldn't be going for it, because it is just increasing your risk over the time and just leveraging out on your property. That is all.
Okay. And another statistic says that more than 60% of secured lending is in red zone. And unfortunately, there is little that can be done, uh, as I understand, to do recovery. For example, you can't have field recovery guys, collection officers going to these places and all. So, what is your view, or what kind of strategy banks and NBFCs can take so to have better collection in these areas, and also amber and green zones?
Like three zones have been mentioned: red, amber, and green. Green is where you can easily, your mobility is there. You go to the customer and speak to him and understand what is the reason behind why you are not paying, and making him understand what repercussions can be done. And similarly in red, like 63% is the statistics which you have just mentioned. What as NBFC or what a bank generally is doing on day zero, or the first step is we are giving them regular calls, and we are giving them calls assuming I being a delinquent customer and banks wants to reach me. I may have a number, A is calling me. I may have a tendency that this is a guy and he's the delinquent guy, he's the collection guy. I won't pick it up. So we are, what everyone is doing is we are doing a skip number thing. 5 or 6 people in the recovery team, similarly with the business team and the credit and the collect, every team gets the same number, and people they get calls from different number, so that the tendency of picking the call is higher on that. Plus you have the local guarantors, you have the reference, you have the co-applicant. You get in touch with them and make them know the fact that this XYZ has defaulted or is not paying the EMI. So in that case, people generally they come up forward and they pay the EMI on multiple bus. And with this unlock one happening, so people have again started moving from one place to another. The recovery team, the business team is moving to their houses and their properties to have a better view what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a fair bit of this thing on this. So EMI has to be given. That is the core bottom line.
I'm trying to convey that to customer that there is no going away. Yeah.
You have to get in touch with the customer. So from this angle or that angle,
right.
either by the co-applicant, you have to get in touch.
Yeah. Okay. And in last couple of years, we saw a lot of trend in low ticket LAP portfolio rising, because banks had not been very interested and keen in this area, and NBFC sort of picked up this low ticket LAP industry. So this was an interesting market where NBFCs were tapping. However, delinquency had been slightly higher as compared to the other conventional LAP and home loan products. Now, with this COVID scenario coming in, and with the expectancy of delinquency even going higher, what do you think about this? Do you think NBFCs will be more cautious when lending to these kind of customers, and delinquency impact in this kind of a portfolio will be higher than other portfolio, or it is going to be more or less same? Yeah.
You know what you just said. We hear a quite different story from what I heard from you right now.
Okay.
What we hear is, in a lower ticket, the delinquency is relatively lower as as in the because the loan to value risk is relatively, and that is the first property of the customer who takes the LAP and he gives the property. Assuming a 15 lakh rupees loan, we have a property of 30 lakhs. The customer has some emotional connect with the property, rather than a customer who has 6, 7, 8 properties and then going like one property is mortgage or the second property is mortgage. So what we really have, if you talk about our lower portfolio with this thing, so we generally see that the risk, the probability of default is relatively lower on this. But yes, on the industry front, yes, there is a different flip turn. But if you talk about a smaller NBFC wala segment, then yes, there is a relatively lower delinquency as compared to the bigger loans, because of some emotional connect, and giving a 15-16 lakh rupees EMI is relatively easier for a customer. Yes, we understand we cannot compare a customer of a 1 crore to a 15 lakh rupees, but a 15 lakh customer would have some viability and some business plan, or probably he might be reducing some of his debts and consolidating with this thing, a small PL or a XYZ, because generally a mortgage loan is somewhere close to 10 years. Wherein a smaller loan or the unsecured generally tends to around 3 to maximum 5 years. If you talk about generally issues of with 3 years, so people have a tendency. Yes, I take a PL, and then I will close it by LAP loan, which I will take. So 3 years would turn into 15, 16 years. So like we may have a small quantity, on this thing. Yes, a 3 years EMI is relatively higher than a 10 years EMI. So for us, what I think is the lower segment is relatively,
Safe.
on the healthy side.
Oh,
So
interesting.
we are very much enthusiastic and very much distinctive. We will go for the smaller tickets also, as in for the loan against property as well as the affordable housing, which we are going on, as in 20-25 lakh rupees of housing of around 700-800 square feet, which the government has also taken out. So you have a capping of this. We have a funding of 80 to 90%, 80% of the market cost of property. We go ahead with that. But yes, on the portfolio level, the delinquency is absolutely low, because somebody, the guy just connects it. Me and you, you probably might, any ex-customer might have 4 houses. So the emotional connect goes. I buying my first house, I will definitely have, yes, कुछ भी हो जाए मेरे को इसको बचा लेता हूँ.
बचा लेना.
So,
There is a strong emotional connect. I get that.
so
So interesting. I mean, to hear hear it from a different perspective, and this totally makes sense. Good. So you in nutshell, you continue. You see this lending for low ticket LAP and affordable housing will carry on
yes,
as it was. Yeah.
I think it should carry on with the portfolio level impact which it is making. It is making a greener impact. So yes, we should continue. Plus, we have so many refinances by the NHB. We have the so many funds which are coming out only for the affordable housing lending also. So yes, everyone is promoting the level and the low ticket. Anything below 30 lakhs, everyone is promoting. So yes, we think. And plus, if you talk about the demand also, the demand is relatively higher on this segment as compared to a higher segment.
Yeah.
For example, you see in the current scenario, we don't, a person taking a 15-20 crores or this type of property, which was a regular case around post this thing, lockdown and everything. It was a very regular thing, a person taking a property in the western side of Delhi or a penthouse in Gurgaon. So this was a very common trend, but probably this might reduce down, because what this COVID and everything has taught people to save right now. First, let us save and then go for the investment.
Right.
The first let us save and then go for the investment. But the guy who is on rent, they were these guys were the most hit guys. The landlord gives them a notices. Similarly, the guys were on the PG. Everyone got notices that you need to vacate and everything. So getting on a 20-25 lakh rupees wala segment, so people would turn up to that. Yes, on a smaller property. Yes, they have a property and nobody can move them out from this property. So we see a good amount of traction in this side.
Yeah. So comparing it with, for example, auto loan segment, probably you might see a dip of demand in high segment, higher category cars. But lower segment and rather two-wheeler is a boost, right?
Yeah. What is happening right now? If you talk about, not naming a brand, Activa is selling like hotcakes, and similarly, it is like chalk to cheese. But yes, on a if you go a Charisma or a Pulsar, yes, there would be a stagnancy on that level. Similarly, on the auto level also.
Right.
The Maruti is scoring really high, wherein on the bigger segment cars, they have again on the staggering side.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So, what are the emerging trends in the industry, and how do you see industry shaping up in the future? I'm now going on towards a more broader questions. So,
what COVID has been a great learner to everyone in the industry. One, everyone has got to save. Second, it has helped the organization to learn what to do in crisis. IT has just helped it along. It is like always we learned in our textbook. IT is an enabler. Now we really understood what is an enabler. Uh, the textbook, everything written in the textbook was absolutely right. Now, for example, we have team A and team B, but we generally do not feel it that we are sitting in the house and working.
Right.
Because everything has just moved to our house with all the internal software, everything, cloud computing, everything. You click it and it just happens, very similar to what we used to do in the office. So IT would be taking over and everything, and digital is the next big thing which is going to happen. Digitally, yes, you take I'll just take a very small example in this. What is the traditional way of applying a home loan or a loan against property? You walk into a branch and you submit the papers, and then the file gets prepared, it goes physically to the processing center, there it gets processed and further forward. Now what everyone in the industry is doing is everything is digital. You just click on the go to our website, click there, and you will get the application form there and there. Upload all the documents there. Upload your photograph. Upload your photograph is through your webcam, that is on your laptop. Plus you have geotagging, so your location and everything is absolutely validated. You submit all the income documents, your bank statement. Once it moves, everything done, you pay the processing fee. You get a reference number. It directly moves to your underwriter or the credit manager's tray. So he directly the file which was the process go to the branch, submit the whole thing. That is absolutely cut down by 3 to 2.5, 3 days, and directly hitting the underwriter's desk is it's nothing like it.
Reducing it from days to hours.
Days to hours, plus all the verification which used to happen physically, people going to ITO or people going to different institutions for checking the banking or everything is just on a click of a button. You click it, in next 30 seconds you get a report, what is validated, how, even if the PDF is fabricated, you get to know that. You get each and everything. You get the ITO records, everything is online, digital. So digital and IT, it is the next big thing which is going to happen right now. But no substitute to it.
Yeah. So two questions cropped up my mind. One is good that video KYC RBI has allowed now. So now there's no need for physical KYC, and I believe a lot of banks and NBFC have started adopting that. However, specifically in mortgage, title verification is something which still requires a physical touch, right?
Right.
So, so in true sense, it is still not contactless, or
See, giving a mortgage is all about. If you talk about the mortgage is basically divided into two parts. One is the sanction, and second is the disbursement. The disbursement cannot be digital because it requires the original property papers, and mortgage can be only created when you enter a branch and the register is there. That is the way of creating an equitable mortgage or a registered mortgage, wherein you go to the SRO. On the first part, wherein the sanction part is there, which used to take around 4 to 5 days, that is cut down by, in like we spoke, in matter of hours. So on the first part, yes, we have absolutely moved to the digital front, and in the second part, yes, this due diligence has to happen, and the touch and feel of the document has to happen with further verification. The customer, the intended customer and the seller has to go to the SRO. So the 100% digitalization cannot happen because of obvious reasons. But yes, to the maximum extent, digitalization has been happened, and reducing the overall turnaround time and the experience of the customer. So now customers are in this thing, we will only go wherever it is necessary. We will not go like one paper is missing, two paper is missing, or this and that. You get the ease of putting every salaried customer, or 99% your self-employed customer has a CA. These if you talk about SENP, everyone has a CA, chartered accountant. Yes, that chartered accountant will upload each and everything because through the username and password. And similarly, as a salaried customer like me, you, and everyone, but everything is on your desktop.
Right.
You just click it and give it. So the next 10 seconds, you ask my 10 things, I will give you in next 10 seconds. I do not have to search here and there. Right. So that is the first part is absolutely digital. The second part, yes, we have to go to the SRO. The lawyer has to go. So that second part, I don't think so that would be digitalized. But yes, the record keeping and everything is digitalized. If you talk about all the SROs have become digitalized, you take any property, you put in any property address on the SRO website, e-search, you get it for that last 10 years, what all sale deeds have happened, to who was the seller, who was the buyer, and how is the chain turning up. So yes, digitalization is happening on that front, but where physical presence is there, so one has to go.
Right. But all SROs are already, they have all complete data digitized. I think there are
This
still.
majority, there are few who are in the process, but with the mandates which everyone is getting these days, because one is Aadhaar has to be linked with every property which you buy. And Aadhaar would be only linked to the property when the property papers are digitalized or that property is uploaded on that thing. So everyone has the mandate and everyone is getting it digitalized. Just majority of the SROs in Delhi NCR, and parts of the nearabouts are digitalized. If you talk about Bombay, you get an NEC there that is 100% digital. For last 10 years, who XYZ has sold to any and everyone, it would be there. In Delhi, yes, 80-90% have become this. So it is the next thing. And next thing, kya, it is there.
Do you see some time where actual mortgage lending is totally contactless?
Contactless, no, because I don't think so. Because the yes, first part it can be contactless, but second part, when you need to sign an agreement, and then money being transferred to the XYZ account without an agreement.
But then you have
Yes,
e-sign, no? But then you have e-sign.
you have, then it comes with the equitable mortgage cannot be created without the physical presence of the property paper and the buyer or the seller of the property owner in the branch. Plus, the SRO, you cannot have a property being exchanged without the physical presence of of the buyer and the seller. It's
Probably
100%.
required a lot of change on the regulatory side as well for that to happen.
But that everything exchanging had, yes, the post pre-COVID, if you talk about, everything was on the physical side. Now what we have moved to 70 or 60 or probably 60-70% on the digital side. But with coming years, yes, well, we can definitely hope for a contactless thing, and that would be nothing like it.
Probably government also have more focus on digital now, because they have seen like, and we have all seen like, had internet and the technology not been in place, probably you would not have been having this interview as well, right? So yeah, I hope. And one of the key things that we are listening, like especially in technology, if you see TCS announced that 70% of the people will, they want to, over the next 2-3 years, their 70% workforce will work from home.
Right.
Do you see that kind of trend happening in banking and finance also, where this uh, and especially in metro cities like Delhi, Mumbai, I think average commuting time is 1.5 hours to 2 hours, right? Every day people are spending that kind of that much time in commuting. So do you see a shift in the corporate or the management view, and more and more people allowed to work from home?
In the current times, we have 3 different teams or 2 different teams working right now. So the Delhi government has absolutely said you can work with 100% of force right now, with the chief minister saying this. So he has removed all the restrictions, but still everyone, majority, yes, is working on 30 or 35, 40, 50% of the strength, because you say the lockdown, the unlock has happened, but the COVID has not gone. So we do not want to risk anyone in this. But once people get used to this, the A and B or C or the different teams, yes, we may see it, because nothing is stopping. The transactions are still happening. we keep a special eye on the customer grievance or the customer escalation kind of a thing. We are not seeing it as an upturn on that. Every customer is being acknowledged and being assigned a relationship manager, or a branch is definitely making an attempt to touch base on the customer so that he gets a seamless this thing. But since now everyone is settling into the new environment, now the work from home and working from office in a shifting way has become the new normal. So you see, so everyone is thinking to this whole mentality earlier, around 3 months back, post this thing, nobody would have thought that we would be working from home in the same efficiency and the rigor which we are currently working at. But yes, everyone has sunk in, and things have started moving in the right direction. So you never know what can happen in the future.
Yeah, let's hope in future we have everybody working from home.
That would reduce a lot of cost then.
This real estate cost is huge. Yeah. Okay. So where do you see what's the next leap in terms of technology that you see that can change the way business is being done in the lending industry?
See, if you talk about the technology front, we spoke about the digital sanction which we are having. As in, I only go to a website. You go to any institution website, you key in all the details. Everything is moving at the speed of light. Moves to the credit managers today. Next, if you talk about the what next, you would ask me what would be the next.
Yeah, what next?
Next thing, the disbursement part cannot be digitalized to much extent. But yes, what happens after disbursement is you becomes a customer of the institution for next 15-20 years. And in the current scenario, I would also not like to go to a bank for a small thing or a big thing, probably anything. Either I would like to get it serviced digitally. Here comes the role of again IT, which is taken a huge leap in terms of AI and ML. You have many institutions have a toll-free number or a WhatsApp number wherein you have WhatsApp banking, you have WhatsApp statements of account, you key in, but yes, registered mobile number has to be there. You put in there and you get one for this thing, statement of account, 2 for repayment, 3 for foreclosure, 4 for X, or 5 for 6. So yes, your as a customer, why would I go to an institution where I get everything on a WhatsApp or an email or on a digital platform? So from one end, from the putting your file to an end of the servicing of yourself for the next 10, 15, whatever years you need. For example, a very small thing you need. I have moved a tenure of 3-4 years, and somewhat I require some small amount of money or a top up kind of a thing. You go to the platform, the digital platform on the website, and you click, you log in through your credentials, and you say, I need a top up. You have pre-approved top ups also. As the institution is also following your trend. How well are you paying? How frequently you are paying without any bounces and this thing. As a person who has a high CIBIL score with impeccable track record, everyone would like to further extend their exposure. Plus, over the tenure, 3-4 years, you have normal amortization also, which happens through your principal. Something gets repaid, so you get it back by auto top up or as a festive bonanza kind of a thing. So again, no documentation, nothing, just a click, you get it.
Right.
So IT is just clubbing everything together, all the experience, from starting to end, where minimal human intervention is required, and plus the error scope is absolutely, it's just zero. But I'm not even, we would say it is tending to zero. It is just zero.
Yeah, I get that. As a technology guy, let me give you a vision or a dream. For example, today, whatever it is you want to speak to a person, you call up, and then there is IVR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Just imagine there is a robotic voice there, and it talks to the customer in a very normal language and with all the emotional constructs in it.
Right.
And actually, customer is not realizing that he is talking to a machine, right? How would that word be?
Well, again, AI would hold the key for it.
Yeah. So
The key for it. Yes, you have robots doing this because there are few portals. Yes, not with the human voice, but you won't even there are few travel portals in India also. You might have very big names. You won't even find their customer care number. But as in you
yeah.
dial 9 later, you won't find it. Everything is automated there.
Hmm.
So what similar things is on the lines which you are talking about, like what I just spoke, as in on a WhatsApp. But generally, we are not in a transactional banking wherein you need daily statements, you need the daily debit credit, you have so many 10 number of products attached to with it. But in this, you have only 5, 10, 15 things which are associated to this. You need the principal interest certificate, you need a pre, a top up or an interest certificate, or you can say statement of account, amortization, very limited 10, 15 things to majorly club it. So you can have this. We are having this. Many of the other institutions are also having this, wherein you just go online, you get preloaded everything 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, you do not. That is not on the call, but yes, on the app, you have it.
Yeah, and
Probably we.
say for example,
Probably,
Siri, help me get me the bank statement and
right.
something like
That
that.
would be too advanced. And a great cue from you. We would definitely like to work more on it.
That's the kind of thing that I see next, because or for example, augmented reality, wherein virtual consultant is there, and in kind of 3D, he's the person is sitting across your is on the laptop, and yeah.
This is the point. Whether you got a very great point in this, as in what we in our organization just implemented. We in our customer service, see, because we have a constraint that many people cannot come. What we did was we placed a webcam and a computer,
Hmm.
and that guy, the other guy,
Hmm.
the
The service
customer service,
uh,
the guy was sitting at his home
uh,
with the webcam on. So
uh,
a customer walked into the branch, sat in front of the camera
ah,
in the branch, and he was servicing from there.
oh,
But
okay.
the customer did not even,
So Siddharth, great view. Nice to have your views on the business front and the business of technology, and the value that it is adding. And my last question to you is uh, on AI ML front, right? Uh, how how much do you think industry and you guys are leveraging the AI and ML, and in what aspects?
the AI and ML are the next key, as we spoke in the discussion also. But everything you have AI. In case you miss on anything on AI, you have ML. So ML. So these things would definitely help in servicing. Probably on the servicing front, yes, these things would help, because if you talk about a very this thing, a very AI kind of a the first part of this thing, yes, on the salaried front, yes, it can happen, because the salary has to come, and seeing the bank statement and the basic salary credits of the customer, we can go for the AI sanction in terms of salaried customer. But yes, on the self employed customer side, wherein you need to go to his setup, the factory, the manufacturing, or the trading setup, you need to go there. You need some bit of human intervention is required. But on the servicing front, we can easily automate everything to the AI thing. So, and in the current scenario, yes, many of them have already migrated to this thing, and many of them are in the process of migrating, because it helps in saving time, cost, and the efforts of many. Because the questions are very similar to what the A customer would have or the B customer would have. So easy to have a prefixed kind of a thing, rather than on going on a one-to-one personalized kind of a setup. Yes, because it is not the servicing is not that tricky thing, because generally 10, 15, 20, maximum of a 25 question, you get your all the queries answered to that. But yes, on there might be some customers who would be looking as a specialized RM kind of an environment, wherein a high value customer, anyone who is over 1 crore, would expect that I should have a personalized RM, wherein I just need to give him a call and he would be doing in turn of that. He would be servicing me on that, on the institution's front. Yes, we have that. Many of the institutions, the high HNIs, have a wealth manager or a RM kind of an environment. But on a retail segment, if you talk about, AI would
Retail can be largely less
retail,
driven, but HNI and VHNI, you might see human intervention still.
need special attention, and that is why you need to give them.
Yeah, yeah.
Every customer deserves it, and we give it. But yes, there is some differentiation which generally happens, like what everyone does.
Yeah. Okay. With that, thank you so much, Siddharth, for taking the time out. It was nice talking to you.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much, Pankaj.
Yeah. Uh, so, Siddharth, great. Nice to have your views on the business front and the business technology and the value that it is adding. And my last question to you is uh, on AI ML front, right? Uh, how 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 much do you think industry and you guys are leveraging the AI and ML, and in what aspects?
The AI and ML are the next key, as we spoke in the discussion also. But everything you have AI. In case you miss on anything on AI, you have ML. So ML. So these things would definitely help in servicing. Probably on the servicing front, yes, these things would help, because if you talk about a very AI kind of a, the first part of this thing, yes, on the salaried front, yes, it can happen, because the salary has to come, and seeing the bank statement and the basic salary credits of the customer, we can go for the AI sanction in terms of salaried customer. But yes, on the self employed customer side, wherein you need to go to his setup, the factory, the manufacturing, or the trading setup, you need to go there. You need some bit of human intervention is required. But on the servicing front, we can easily automate everything to the AI thing. So, and in the current scenario, yes, many of them have already migrated to this thing, and many of them are in the process of migrating, because it helps in saving time, cost, and the efforts of many. Because the questions are very similar to what the A customer would have or the B customer would have. So easy to have a prefixed kind of a thing, rather than on going on a one-to-one personalized kind of a setup. Yes, because it is not the servicing is not that tricky thing, because generally 10, 15, 20, maximum of a 25 question, you get your all the queries answered to that. But yes, on there might be some customers who would be looking as a specialized RM kind of an environment, wherein a high value customer, anyone who is over 1 crore, would expect that I should have a personalized RM, wherein I just need to give him a call and he would be doing in turn of that. He would be servicing me on that, on the institution's front. Yes, we have that. Many of the institutions, the high HNIs, have a wealth manager or a RM kind of an environment. But on a retail segment, if you talk about, AI would
Retail can be largely less driven, but HNI and VHNI, you might see human intervention still.
need special attention, and that is why you need to give them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every customer deserves it, and we give it. But yes, there is some differentiation which generally happens, like what everyone does.
Yeah. Okay. With that, thank you so much, Siddharth, for taking the time out. It was nice talking to you.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much, Pankaj.